Beloved, today I want you to hear a truth that the world will never teach you, a principle so powerful that it will change the trajectory of your life if you embrace it, focus on yourself, and stay silent. The world is filled with noise, opinions, criticisms, distractions, and people trying to steal your vision. Everyone wants to know your moves, your plans, your progress, but the reality is not everyone deserves to be part of your journey. God has called you to a higher standard, a life of purpose, a destiny that cannot be sabotaged by gossip, fear, or impatience. When you learn to focus on yourself, you stop comparing your progress to others. You stop seeking validation from people who do not understand your assignment, and you begin to cultivate the character, discipline, and wisdom that will allow your life to flourish. Proverbs 40:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." Your heart, your mind, your spirit, they are precious and they require protection. When you focus on yourself, you are protecting the most valuable asset God has given you, your destiny. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. Proverbs 17:28 reminds us that even a fool is thought wise if he keeps silent, and discerning if he holds his tongue. There is power in restraint. There is strength in waiting. When you keep your plans, your vision, and your dreams close to your heart, you allow God's timing to work without interference. You let actions speak louder than words, letting results prove your faithfulness, your skill, and your obedience to God's calling. Beloved, I am challenging you today to shift your focus inward, to stop being distracted by what everyone else is doing, to stop giving away your energy to people who will never contribute to your growth. God has a plan for you that is far greater than the approval of men. His purpose is perfect, and it requires your undivided attention, your discipline, and your patience. As you listen today, I want you to understand that the secret to greatness is often hidden in silence and focus. Your breakthrough, your promotion, your shift, it is coming, but it will not come to those who boast prematurely or chase recognition. It will come to those who prepare in private, who sharpen their character, who walk faithfully with God, and who trust Him to bring the increase. So open your heart, quiet your mind, and prepare to receive the principles that will transform your life. Today is the day you stop giving your power away. Today is the day you take control of your focus, your silence, and your destiny. Stay with me, for what you are about to hear will awaken the wisdom of God in your life and will teach you how to live a life of purpose, power, and peace, no matter what the world says. Beloved, the first principle in learning to focus on yourself and stay silent is this: guard your heart and mind, for your peace is your responsibility. Proverbs 4:23 declares, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." Let me be clear, your heart and mind are not just parts of your body, they are the control centers of your life. They dictate your thoughts, shape your decisions, influence your actions, and ultimately determine the quality of your destiny. If your heart is neglected, unprotected, or distracted by the chaos of the world, your life will reflect confusion, compromise, and missed opportunities. Guarding your heart is not optional, it is a spiritual imperative. To guard your heart means to protect it from toxic influences, from gossip, from criticism, from comparison, and from the pressure of the opinions of others. Every day, people will try to pull you off your path. They will try to convince you that their approval matters more than God's guidance, that their judgment should define your worth, or that their timeline is the one you must follow. Beloved, when you allow your heart to be swayed by every voice around you, you open the door to distraction, stress, and spiritual stagnation. You cannot fulfill your God-given potential when your peace is compromised by the noise of the world. Guarding your mind is equally critical. Your mind is where vision is birthed, where faith takes root, and where your future is shaped. Philippians 4:8 commands us to dwell on whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, and praiseworthy. What you allow into your mind will determine what you produce in your life. Negative thoughts, doubt, and fear will paralyze your purpose if you do not consciously protect the thoughts you entertain. Focusing on yourself means taking responsibility for what you think, what you meditate on, and what you allow to influence your inner world. You are accountable for the mental space you inhabit, and God has called you to steward it wisely. Guarding your heart and mind is also about choosing peace over chaos. Life will present trials, conflicts, and frustrations that test your patience and resilience. It is tempting to react, to speak too soon, to justify yourself, or to defend your position publicly. But true strength lies in restraint, in choosing silence when necessary, in protecting the integrity of your heart from unnecessary turmoil. Peace is not a passive state. It is a weapon, a strategy, and a discipline that positions you to think clearly, act wisely, and move forward with purpose. Beloved, when you take ownership of your heart and mind, you lay the foundation for every other principle of life. You are no longer tossed by every opinion, every criticism, or every distraction. You cultivate inner strength, clarity of vision, and a spirit aligned with God's will. Your life becomes a reflection of divine order rather than human chaos. Guard your heart, protect your mind, embrace silence when necessary, and watch as God's favor, wisdom, and peace begin to govern every step of your life. The responsibility is yours, and the reward is immeasurable. Beloved, one of the most critical lessons in living a life of purpose is this: stop seeking approval from people and understand that God's opinion is the only one that truly matters. Galatians 1:10 asks, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? The question is not merely rhetorical, it exposes a truth that many never realize. When you prioritize the opinions of others over the guidance of God, you surrender your destiny to human limitations, criticism, and misunderstanding. People will never fully comprehend your purpose, your vision, or the assignments God has placed on your life. Seeking their approval only slows down progress, breeds doubt, and steals your peace. Approval from others is fleeting, it is conditional, and often unpredictable. One day, you are celebrated, and the next, you are criticized. When you live trying to satisfy everyone around you, your life becomes reactive instead of proactive. Your decisions are influenced by fear of judgment rather than faith in God's plan. You compromise your values, dilute your message, and settle for mediocrity. Beloved, God never called you to live according to the standards of the world. He called you to stand firm in your purpose, even when no one understands. The approval of God carries weight, authority, and eternal significance. It is unshakable, unwavering, and it aligns your life with divine destiny. When you stop seeking human approval, you open the door to authenticity. You begin to operate from your true identity in Christ, confident in your abilities, secure in your calling, and steadfast in your faith. You are no longer swayed by the applause or the criticism of people. Instead, your focus becomes obedience, excellence, and alignment with God's vision for your life. Philippians 2:13 reminds us that it is God who works in us to will and to act according to his good purpose. Your energy, your thoughts, your effort must be invested in pleasing him, not conforming to the fleeting expectations of men. Beloved, understand this: when you live to please God rather than people, you step into a life of empowerment. Your decisions are purposeful, your actions are strategic, and your spirit remains unshaken by the noise around you. You cultivate integrity, confidence, and resilience because your self-worth is no longer tied to public opinion. The freedom that comes from living for God's approval allows you to focus on what truly matters: growth, discipline, vision, and faithfulness to the assignment he has entrusted to you. Stop seeking approval from the world. Stop compromising your peace for the applause of others. Align your heart with God, obey his word, and let his validation be your standard. The people around you may misunderstand, criticize, or even oppose you. But when God's approval is enough, you become untouchable in spirit, unshakable in focus, and unstoppable in purpose. Beloved, the voice that matters most is not that of men. It is the voice of God. Listen to it, follow it, and let it shape every move you make. Beloved, the third principle is a matter of sovereignty over your own life. Take full responsibility for your actions, decisions, and the trajectory of your future. Galatians 6:5 declares, "For each one should carry their own load." This is not merely about accountability. It is about understanding that you are the primary steward of your life. No one else can live it for you. No one else can bear the consequences of your choices. To thrive, to fulfill your purpose, to walk in the destiny God has ordained, you must stop blaming others, stop waiting for circumstances to change, and step fully into ownership of every decision you make. Responsibility begins in the mind. You cannot expect transformation while shifting blame or waiting for someone else to make things happen for you. Life is not a spectator sport. It is an arena in which your choices determine the outcome. Too often, people waste time on excuses, on pointing fingers, or on hoping the world will align with their desires. Beloved, this mindset is the enemy of progress. True empowerment comes when you accept that your future is in your hands and that God has equipped you with the mind, the spirit, and the gifts necessary to navigate every challenge and seize every opportunity. Taking responsibility also means embracing accountability. When you make a mistake, you do not run from it, you learn from it. When you face failure, you do not collapse under it, you rise stronger, wiser, and more disciplined. Owning your decisions means you no longer give power to circumstance. opinion, or fear. It is a declaration that you will no longer be a victim of the world's unpredictability, but will instead be a master of your own character, choices, and destiny. Spiritually, responsibility is tied to stewardship. God has given you time, resources, talents, and opportunities. How you use them determines the legacy you leave. To neglect responsibility is to squander blessing. To embrace it is to activate potential. Romans 14:12 reminds us that each of us will give an account of ourselves to God. The time to act, to decide, and to own your life is now. Beloved, when you take full responsibility, your life becomes unstoppable. You are no longer dependent on approval, circumstance, or external validation. You walk with purpose, clarity, and faith, knowing that God has equipped you to handle every challenge, fulfill every assignment, and manifest every blessing. Stop waiting, stop blaming, and start owning every part of your life. It is yours, it is sacred, and it is time to steward it with courage, wisdom, and unwavering faith. Beloved, one of the most powerful principles for transforming your life and staying focused is this: invest in personal growth, for true strength comes through discipline. 2 Peter 1:5-6 exhorts us to make every effort to add to your faith goodness, and to goodness knowledge, and to knowledge self-control, and to self-control perseverance, and to perseverance godliness. Listen closely. God is not calling you to passivity. He is calling you to a life of intentional development, a life where you refuse to remain stagnant and instead commit to growing in every area, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Growth does not happen by accident. It is the result of deliberate, disciplined action over time, the daily investment in sharpening your skills, cultivating your character, and aligning yourself with the purposes of God. Personal growth begins with awareness. You must see yourself clearly, not as the world labels you, not as your past failures define you, but as God created you, full of potential, designed for greatness, and capable of fulfilling a divine assignment. Growth requires honesty. It requires acknowledging where you are weak, where you have been complacent, and where you have settled for less than God intended. The moment you confront your limitations and commit to overcoming them, you step into the realm of transformation. Every skill you learn, every habit you cultivate, every discipline you practice compounds to shape the person God intended you to be. Discipline is the engine of growth. Without it, knowledge remains theoretical, faith remains dormant, and potential remains unfulfilled. Discipline is the daily decision to choose what is right over what is convenient, what is beneficial over what is pleasurable, and what aligns with your purpose over what appeases the crowd. It is the willingness to persevere when progress seems slow, when results are delayed, and when the world mocks your effort. Discipline teaches endurance, it builds resilience, and it strengthens your character in ways that cannot be achieved through comfort or ease. Investing in personal growth also requires intentional focus. You must dedicate time to learning, to reflection, to prayer, and to skill building. Every hour spent sharpening your mind, expanding your understanding, or cultivating godly habits is an investment in your future. This is why God calls you to add to your faith. Faith must be accompanied by effort, and effort must be consistent, disciplined, and strategic. Growth is not an event, it is a process. It is the daily commitment to becoming better than you were yesterday, to stretching beyond your current limitations, and to refusing to let fear, distraction, or complacency define your trajectory. Beloved, understand this: those who invest in personal growth never remain victims of circumstance. Their lives reflect intentionality, strength, and purpose. They are able to walk silently in focus, undistracted by the opinions of others, because their power comes from preparation, discipline, and alignment with God's will. Growth equips you to handle challenges, to seize opportunities, and to fulfill your destiny with excellence. Invest in yourself. Build your character, sharpen your mind, strengthen your spirit. The disciplined life is the life that God honors, and it is the life that positions you to achieve everything He has called you to become. Your future depends on the choices you make today to grow, to learn, and to strengthen every part of your being. Beloved, the fifth principle is this: walk deliberately in God's purpose, allowing your life to reflect the plan He has ordained for you. Jeremiah 29:11 reminds us, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Understand this: you are not a random occurrence. You are not living without intention or design. Every breath, every talent, every opportunity has been divinely placed within you to fulfill a purpose far greater than personal ambition or societal expectation. Walking in God's purpose requires focus, discipline, and the unwavering courage to align your life with His vision. Even when the world does not understand, even when the path seems unclear. Walking in purpose begins with self-awareness and prayer. You must know who God created you to be, what He has equipped you for, and where He is leading you. Too often, people drift through life, distracted by opinions, desires, and the approval of others, missing the divine trajectory God has designed. When you choose to live deliberately, every decision becomes a reflection of your commitment to His calling. Your relationships, your work, your habits, and your words are no longer random. They are instruments of purpose. Beloved, walking in God's purpose also demands courage to resist conformity. Society will try to dictate your priorities, encourage mediocrity, and tempt you to settle for less than God's best. But when your life is aligned with His plan, every challenge, every trial, every season of waiting becomes a catalyst for growth, refinement, and preparation. God's purpose is not always easy, but it is always perfect. It brings peace amidst chaos, clarity amidst confusion, and fulfillment that cannot be found in worldly pursuits. Purpose-driven living is active and intentional. It requires taking responsibility for your choices, investing in your personal growth, and maintaining unwavering faith that God's timing is perfect. When you walk in purpose, your life becomes a testimony, a beacon of hope, and a source of inspiration for others. You are no longer living to please people or chase fleeting pleasures. You are living to honor God, impact the world, and fulfill the destiny He has uniquely entrusted to you. Beloved, understand this: walking in God's purpose transforms ordinary actions into extraordinary impact. It turns challenges into opportunities, setbacks into lessons, and waiting into preparation. Your life will reflect His glory, not your ego. Your steps will be guided, your decisions empowered, and your future secured in His hands. Choose today to walk in purpose. Let your life reflect His divine plan. Refuse distractions, ignore the noise of the world, and commit fully to the path He has designed. When you live in purpose, you are unstoppable, unshakable, and fully aligned with the destiny that God has ordained for you. Beloved, the sixth principle is the power of strategic silence. For Proverbs 7:28 declares, "Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues." There is a divine strength in restraint, in choosing when to speak and when to act. In a world where everyone is eager to voice opinions, share plans, and justify positions, wisdom often lies in silence. Strategic silence is not weakness. It is a conscious, deliberate choice to allow God's timing and actions to manifest before declaring victory. It is the difference between boasting in words and demonstrating in results. Silence creates space for focus. When you speak prematurely, you expose your plans to opposition, invite criticism, and distract yourself from execution. But when you hold your tongue and focus on action, every move becomes purposeful. Your energy is directed toward completion, not explanation. Your resources are devoted to growth, not persuasion. Beloved, the world measures progress by output, not promises. Results speak with authority, while words without action are empty and easily forgotten. Strategic silence also cultivates wisdom and discernment. It teaches patience, self-control, and awareness of timing. Speaking at the wrong time can sabotage opportunities, stir conflict, or draw unnecessary attention. But restraint protects your integrity, your plans, and your relationships. Silence allows God to work on your behalf, aligning circumstances, opening doors, and orchestrating outcomes beyond human understanding. The one who acts quietly under God's guidance often accomplishes more than the one who loudly announces every intention. Beloved, actions grounded in faith and purpose have far greater impact than words ever could. When you choose strategic silence, you demonstrate maturity, discipline, and confidence in God's sovereignty. You no longer seek validation or recognition from people, because your results, your life, and your character bear witness to your commitment and alignment with God. Others may doubt, mock, or underestimate you, but when the time comes, your accomplishments will speak volumes, and your victory will be undeniable. Silence also protects your peace. Words spoken hastily can create unnecessary conflict, invite judgment, or erode trust. Choosing restraint preserves your reputation, strengthens your focus, and positions you to operate with excellence. Beloved, understand this: the tongue is powerful, but the power of measured silence, combined with decisive action, is transformative. When you act while remaining silent, you allow God to amplify your efforts, ensuring that your results glorify Him, impact others, and fulfill your divine assignment. Choose today to speak less and do more. Let your life become a testimony of discipline, focus, and faith. Let every action reflect purpose, intentionality, and obedience. Strategic silence is not about hiding. It is about positioning yourself to win, to prosper, and to fulfill the destiny God has entrusted to you. Your actions will resonate louder than words. Your results will silence doubters, and your life will bear the unmistakable mark of God's wisdom and power. Beloved, as we draw this message to a close, hear this. Life does not wait for the hesitant, the talkers, or those who operate on the opinions of others. Destiny calls for action, for focus, and for the courage to guard what is sacred, to walk deliberately in purpose, and to let God's plan unfold through your life. When you guard your heart and mind, you protect your peace, and peace is the foundation of clarity, wisdom, and divine direction. When you stop seeking approval and choose to honor God above the praise or criticism of men, you step into freedom and empowerment. When you take full responsibility for your life, owning every decision and consequence, you activate authority over your own destiny. Walking in God's purpose is not optional, it is essential. You were created for a specific assignment, a divine calling that cannot be fulfilled through distraction, indecision, or compromise. Jeremiah 29:11 reminds us that God's plan for your life is to prosper you, to give you hope, and to establish a future. Yet, to align with this plan requires deliberate action, courage, and faith that moves beyond what the eyes can see. Every choice, every step, every decision becomes a reflection of obedience, discipline, and alignment with the Creator's design. This is how your life transforms from ordinary to extraordinary. Strategic silence, beloved, is the final piece of the puzzle. Proverbs 128 teaches us that even fools are considered wise when they remain silent. There is power in restraint, in allowing your work, your results, and your actions to speak louder than your words. When you act in faith while remaining silent, you guard your plans from opposition, avoid unnecessary conflict, and create a space for God to manifest His timing and blessing. Silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is preparation meeting opportunity, and it is discipline producing results. Those who master the art of strategic silence discover that victory is amplified and success is undeniable. As we conclude, remember this: your life is your responsibility, your purpose is sacred, and your actions are the proof of your faith. Do not be swayed by the opinions of the world, the impatience of the flesh, or the noise of distractions. Guard your peace, act with intention, and remain steadfast in God's calling. Speak less, act more, and let every move be deliberate, guided, and empowered by His Spirit. Live in a way that your results bear testimony to your obedience, your discipline, and your unwavering focus. I want you to leave this message with clarity, courage, and conviction. Know that the path of purpose requires action, patience, and faith. Let every decision reflect divine alignment, and let every action demonstrate that you are walking in destiny. May your life become a living testimony, a beacon of wisdom, and an example of what happens when you focus, act, and trust God fully. Thank you, beloved, for giving your heart, your mind, and your attention to this message. May the Spirit of God empower you to guard your heart, embrace your purpose, act with faith, and walk boldly in silence and strategy. May every day ahead bring you closer to the life God has designed for you. Go forth with courage, wisdom, and determination, and prove that when God guides, nothing can stop a life committed to His plan. Amen.